guys, welcome back to a new video. Today we're finally working on Jack's Corsa VXR. Been a long time coming, but Corsa content is coming back. This has been a long awaited video. We're going to install a water temp gauge on his Corsa VXR, or coolant temp gauge. This will help you guys install one yourself if you want to. If you don't, then we can do it for you. We do all that, link in description. This can be used on any car basically. This is just like a simple guide based on this. Some cars will differ, but we'll show you the equipment that you need for this. Pipe sizes vary and all that sort of stuff, so there is a little verification on them, which we'll go through later on. I want to point out as well, as of this second, we are pretty much looking at doing boost gauges. We're talking about pillar pods. So the pillar pods we are currently looking at doing is a 3 pillar pod for the Corsa DVXR and the Corsa EVXR. They will fit the same. We're going to be prefabbing myself, we're going to be selling myself, so that's one thing that we need to look at. We need to make sure that Curtis is pointing the camera up and not staring into space.
It is, don't worry.
So what we're going to do here is...
It's like
hang on, wait.
I found a socket that I dropped ages ago.
Oh my god. So the pillar pods will also be available. We'll be able to post them out, come and collect them and all that sort of stuff eventually. They'll be colour coded to whatever colour you want. We can colour code it to your car. Also as well, we can sell them just primed. So this will be good because nobody's actually doing it. Link in description will be down below as well. We'll be sending them through the rustyfat.co.uk website. Also as well, we're posting, you will see us posting a few bits in the Corsa forums and that on Facebook, marketplaces. Once we've done the Corsa ones, we will also be then moving on to other things such as Fiesta STs and all that sort of stuff, so that'll be absolutely fantastic. Long-term goal with this, we're going to custom do our own front splitters, side skirts and rear diffusers and all that sort of stuff. They're all going to be pre-done by us, sprayed whatever colour you want. I think we'll probably just do them all gloss black, but then that will give you guys the options to spray it if you want to. So big things are coming here at Rusty Autos. Make sure your notification icons are on, hitting that bell icon, and then let's jump straight in to this water temp gauge. Right here, Jack is removing the centre console from the VXR. This is required because we're going to put the coolant temp into the air vent. This is just a temporary measure until we get the pillar pods ourselves done. These are going to be triple pillar pods. Now he's also taking the glove box out. This will allow him access to the fuse box. So this will let us wire up the gauge itself to a fuse connector. That way we're not going to have any issues or flat batteries along the way, which is going to be perfect. So the first off, the things you're going to need right now is a coolant temp gauge. You're going to need a coolant temp adapter. This is what you need. This is 32mm. 32mm and 34mm will fit. We've already started stripping this engine down. You're also going to need some bigger clamps. Don't use the ones that come with the actual adapter itself because they will not fit. You're going to need to take off your coolant bottle. You're going to need a bit of coolant for this as well. You're going to need wires. You're going to need a piggyback fuse connector. All this stuff, we will link it all in the description. It's Curtis's job to rack it up. So nice. If you come down here, you can see the boost pipe is taken off. If you look down here, this is the pipe that we're going to tap into. So we've cut this off already. We've measured this piece in the centre so it all fit nice and snug. We've put masking tape around and then cut the pipe. This will sit in between the two pipes. We're going to face it downwards. We then have the sensor, which, Jack, where is the sensor by the way?
It's on the shelf over.
Let's have a wander this way. So the sensor is right here. So this is what will sit in the top of here. And from what I understand is you have a ground. Is it from this little screw, Jack? I tell you what, we'll get Jack to explain this because this is going to be a lot easier. Jack knows a lot more about electrics, so let's go over to him so he can explain this further for you.
Put this in there. Green wire is your signal one, that goes onto there using that. And then use another one of those to put onto there, and that's the earth to the body of the car. And then that's just your live and your negative for the light of the gauge. So the live goes to the fuse box and negative just to the body of the car.
We will explain that more further on as we go along, as we're doing it. We'll do a little cinematic and explain that again to you, just so people are clear on it, where everything goes. Again, Jack knows what he's talking about when he's going through this. This is why he's going to do this on himself, basically, because if we both start doing it, we end up missing steps, which we don't want to do. So anything to do with electrics, very important that you know what you're doing. So if you're not comfortable of doing something like this, I mean, these guides are just a guide. So if you're not comfortable on doing it, take it to somebody that does know. Don't mess about with something that you're not sure of. If you're unsure, comment down below. We can sort out some answers to your questions. Now we can start prepping the electrics for the car. We are going to start by stripping down the earth wire. This allows us to put some crimps on the end. This will let us connect it to the negative of the battery or the earth of the body, just so you can actually get a earth feed to it. So right here we're connecting the earth wire to the temperature sensor. This goes underneath the screw. This is why we put the crimp on the end to get us a nice secure connection. Now right here you can see Jack is just using a red wire. He's going to put a crimp connector on the end, which is just a circle. This will go to the top of the temperature sensor. So this will give us our feed all the way back to the temperature gauge. This connects to the green wire, which is the signal wire on the back of that temperature gauge. You can see here we're pulling the wire through the grommet, which is located on the passenger side. We can use Jack's old sub wire, which we're taking out in the process, to feed it through, so that's why we've taped it to it. This is allowing us to get access straight to the fuse box and to also route it round for the top of the temp sensor. The nuts are now going back onto the temperature sensor. This sits on the top. Once that's put on, the red wire, which is actually going to the back of the green wire on the coolant temperature gauge. Obviously this does help if you do keep the wires the same colour, but as long as you know what wire is going where, you can pretty much use any wire. Make sure you put in that tightening that nut on the top, and this again should be connected to the back of the green wire on the temperature gauge. Jack's just putting in the temperature sensor. You can get this in different colours. It can be in black, silver, blue and red. Just look how tidy this looks at the bottom here. We've got it facing downwards, so there's going to be no issues of seeing wires or anything else like that. It just looks really, really good. If that was black, it would just all blend in. Jack's just tidying up the wires here. He's routed it round the front of the slam panel and behind the washer neck bottle, and also put the signal wire behind the fuse box. This hides it all from view. You can't see any of the wire, which is absolutely awesome. He's tightened up that earth to the battery on the negative as well, which is going to give us a great signal. Before we go any further in this video, just want to interrupt it and say, if you guys want a chance to win a VXR, it does have a P4 issue, but the tickets are only £15 each. You can go to the website, car comes as it is, you can win a VXR for £15. Once all the tickets have sold, as soon as 300 have reached, we're going to start the proceeds and start seeing who wins this VXR. Right here, Jack's filling up all the coolant. So everything else is back in the engine. You can very hardly tell that that's even in there. Everything in the engine bay is now done. Make sure you're putting back anything that you remove. Now it's time to proceed into the car itself, and we're going to put all the electrics in and the boost gauge and everything else there as well. So let's move to there. So in this step, moving into the interior, Jack's fed all the wires through. He has removed the 3 amp fuse. He's tested this with a test light to make sure that it's not active while the ignition is off. Once the ignition's on, it starts sending power to this fuse. This is why we're doing it to this. This will stop you having a dead battery. So the positive from the back of the temperature gauge, that needs to go to the fuse box, to the 3 amp piggyback fuse, which you actually removed the 3 amp. You need to put another amp fuse in there as well. This will stop it short circuiting itself. The negative, which comes off the back of the temperature gauge, goes to the chassis earth, so you need to put that on as well. And obviously the signal wire that comes from the engine bay, that needs to be connected to the back of the temp gauge as well. Once that's all in, you can put your gauges back together, which you'll see now. Sponges are being added behind the gauges. This is to stop the heat when it's on affecting any readings that they might give off. The center console is being put in with the wires being fed through the air vents. This is so they can be connected to the back of the gauges. Obviously, Jack has to have took his boost gauge out, so that's going to go straight back in. That's why there's 2 different wires. Once all the screws are in, you can then put your radio in and start plugging in your temperature sensors and making sure that everything works all fine. Right now, the signal wire, the live wire and the earth wire is all being connected to the back of the gauge. The gauge is being pushed in, so we are aware that one ring around his boost gauge is black and the water temp is silver. We are waiting on a black one coming in, but now all the wiring's all in, we can just literally swap it with one with a black ring so it all matches, all sits really nice. So with that being said, We are now going to start it up. Everything is all ready. The glove box needs putting back on, the wiring needs tidying up, the stereo needs putting back in, but everything is all hunky-dory, ready for the first start up. So with that startup, you saw it sat at 40, that's what it's going to sit at. We do have another digital gauge which we can actually compare the temperatures with. Now the pipe that it's on will only come in when the thermostat opens, so because there's no coolant in there, we're not going to get a proper temperature. So what we're doing is we're bleeding it up, then once the thermostat opens, the coolant is going to run straight through there. That will give us an accurate reading. So let's go and check out this temperature after it's gone up to temperature. So right there from that little bit of a clip, you can see it's now jumped off of 40. Now the thing that you need to do is make sure you're bleeding all that air out the system. We're going to go to the front and check that there's no leaking as well. But if we pan back to the temperature gauge, you can see it's now off of 40. So everything is all working perfectly fine, as it should be. So that's just going to keep going up. We're going to leave it to bleed like we said and see what that sits at, but it looks so good. This can be done again on any car you want. The difference is the size of the pipes. As long as you measure your pipes, if it's the first time you're doing it and you can't find the size of it, make sure you buy a used one off of eBay, exact same pipe, measure the internal diameter, and then you can do it yourself. That is the easiest way of doing it, rather than ordering a load of different parts that are completely different sizes. Again, same principle for every car, so have a go yourself. If you can't, then book in at Rusty Autos and we'll sort you out. You just saw there the end of the temp gauge, all fitting, looks absolutely awesome. You also saw a little drive of it as well. You've seen it cool down when the fan kicked in, seen that temperature drop, absolutely awesome. Again, you guys can do this, follow this guide, or if you're not sure what to do in certain situations, comment down below, we can reply. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and notification icons on, and smash that like button as well.